Alright guys, it is almost time for the start of the 2025 regular season, which means that it is time for me to do some Red Sox season predictions. Now, I did some stuff last year with this, but for all intents and purposes, this is going to be the first comprehensive breakdown that I do on the Red Sox and how I'm predicting them heading into a season. This video specifically is designed with the goal of giving you a lot of really good information without you guys having to spend like an hour listening to me talk. I'm going to be breaking down the rotation, the lineup, the bullpen, the depth the Red Sox have, their postseason odds, and then I'll be giving some grades on how I think the Red Sox line up heading into this next season. So if that sounds great to you guys, sit tight because we're going to have a really fun video here for you. So let's go ahead and get started with the projected opening day lineup for the 2025 Boston Red Sox. And there is some potential that this might not exactly be it, but I will explain that here in just a minute. But at the top of the lineup, we have Duran, followed by Outfield and Devers, Alex Bregman, Duran Casas, and then Trevor Story in the number 5 spot. This top 5 in the lineup has been confirmed by Alex Cora as will be the opening day starting 5, barring any injuries heading into the year, and it is one of the best top 5 in the league. With Duran in the leadoff spot, he is arguably the best leadoff man in baseball. He put up 8.7 B-WAR last season, 21 home runs. He led the league with 48 doubles. He led the league with 14 triples, and he led the league with 12 assists. I have an entire video that I want to make on Duran because of how good he was last year and how snubbed he got with all of the awards voting after the season. But that is another video for another time. What I'm trying to say though is Duran is absolutely elite right now, and this next season is going to be really interesting to see if he can replicate some of what he did in 2024. If he can do that, Duran very well could be the best leadoff man in baseball, and that is some extremely high praise when you consider there are guys like Bobby Witt Jr. and Corbin Carroll that are also leadoff hitters regularly. In the number 2 spot, we have Outfield and Devers, and it looks like that's where he's going to be batting a lot of this year. Devers has consistently batted in the 2 through 4 spot throughout his career, but into this season, it looks like they're going to try to get him higher up in the lineup to get more regular at-bats, and I think that is a great idea. Now, Devers, interestingly enough, is not going to be going into the year as a starting third baseman. He is going in as the starting DH. And while I do think that this is a very good move when it comes to the Red Sox defensively, it is going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out throughout the year. But if you can keep Outfield Devers on the field and you can get him 150 games per year, I think that this is a clear win, especially considering that Outfield Devers at third base is very bad defensively and very much the worst third baseman in baseball. But even still, with those defensive liabilities, his bat is just so good that he's still been one of the best overall third basemen in baseball. And if he can successfully transition to DH and maybe not have to worry about his defensive liabilities moving forward, this guy potentially could be one of the 5 or 10 best hitters in baseball year after year and might finally break that 40 home run plateau that he has not quite reached at this point in his career. In the number 3 spot in the lineup, we have Alex Bregman, who is going to be manning third base over Outfield Devers, and he is probably one of the most important players for the team and the team's success heading into the 2025 season. Alex Bregman's swing is completely designed for Fenway Park. He is a natural pull hitter, and as a right-handed power bat, that is the type of guy that is going to have a lot of success hitting balls off of the wall at Fenway Park. While Alex Bregman has not put up those MVP type numbers that he did earlier in his career with the Astros, he has still been a very, very good player the past few seasons, and honestly, I expect his bat to maybe improve a little bit more heading into this next year. If everything goes well for Alex Bregman and the Red Sox, he could be the type of guy that comes into this middle of the lineup and gives you one of those classic like Xander Bogaerts type seasons that we saw year after year as somebody who can hit 40 plus doubles, give you 20 to 30 home runs, and really be a stabilizing force in the middle of the lineup. And that's not something that we've consistently seen with a right-handed power bat since the departure of Xander a couple of seasons ago. In the 4th spot, we're going to have Duran Casas, and if he can bat a full season, I am super optimistic about his peak potential and what he can do on the offensive side of the baseball. Duran Casas is an elite type guy at first base. He could be one of those guys that gives you 30 plus home runs, gives you a decently high batting average, and gives you a really high on-base percentage. In the 2023 season, I think we really saw the potential for what Casas could be as a hitter, and I don't think it's too far off to being realized, and really it's just a matter of him being healthy. You have to remember that that was his first full season in the big leagues, and he still put up some impressive numbers in 2023, and if he can just continue to build upon that and improve as a hitter and stay healthy, I really do think Tristan Casas could not just be one of the best number 4 hitters in the league, but could be one of the best hitters in baseball, period. In the 5 spot in the lineup, Alex Cora has said that Trevor Story is going to start the year batting 5th, but I'm not 100% sold that he is going to stay the entire year batting at that part of the lineup. Trevor Story obviously has battled a lot of injuries with the Red Sox, like a lot of injuries, and some of them are completely out of his control. I think he's gotten bit with some bad luck, similar to how Chris Sale did with the Red Sox, but at the end of the day, the guy has not stayed on the field, and he has not really performed super consistently when he's been on the field. But the flashes are there, the potential is there, the defensive ability is there, and at shortstop, if Trevor Story can play 120 games, that's kind of my goal for him this next year. If he can play 120 games, I think that there is a real shot that this guy hits 20 home runs and steals 20 bases. He has done that 3 different times in his career with the Rockies, and while he obviously has never done that with the Red Sox, the guy is still in his early 30s, he still has a lot of athleticism behind him, and he is still a very strong defender at shortstop. Now, that is the peak for him. The opposite end of the spectrum is the injuries just keep catching up with him, he gets hurt again, and then he potentially is not going to be the starting shortstop by the end of this year, as you have Marcelo Meyer breathing down his throat for that position. But I'm on the side of optimism here, and I do think that as long as he can stay on the field, he's going to hang on to this role for most of the season. And really, I'm just excited to see that potential that we could have with Trevor Story and what he could do if he actually stays on the field. All right, so we reached the part of the video where there might be some fluidity as to who's exactly going to be batting where, but one thing is for certain, and that is that Christian Campbell is going to be the second baseman for the Boston Red Sox on opening day 2025. Whether he's going to be batting 6th or 8th, I don't really know, but he's definitely going to be in the opening day lineup, because if he's making this opening day roster, that means that he is going to be the starting second baseman, because you just do not put top prospects on the bench after calling them up right away. If you look at his 2024 regular season, Christian Campbell batted .330 with a .997 OPS. He hit 20 home runs, had 33 doubles, and 24 stolen bases. These are crazy numbers from anybody, but it's even crazier when you remember that this guy was a 4th round draft pick 2 years ago and went from not even being listed on MLB's top 100 prospects to being the number 7 overall prospect in Major League Baseball in one season. He was the breakout player of the year by MLB last year. He was the minor league player of the year by MLB last year. If it were not for Roman Anthony doing very similar things as Campbell is doing right now while still being 2 years younger, he would be the best prospect the Red Sox have had in a very, very long time. And the peak for this guy is winning Rookie of the Year, being a multi-time All-Star, and doing this all while being a franchise cornerstone player for the next half decade. Now, I don't know how that's going to turn out, and this is obviously getting super far ahead of myself, but all the underlying stuff is there. He has a beautiful swing that takes the ball to the center field and opposite field regularly. He doesn't pull the ball very often, which is the sign of an extremely advanced hitter, and while at Fenway Park that might not be the best for a right-handed hitter, that just means he's going to be racking up doubles and triples in the alleys, which I will definitely take for a guy with speed like Christian Campbell has. Overall, though, guys, this is the foundation of the beginning of the next great Red Sox championship caliber team, and you should be extremely excited that we're going to see any one of these 3 guys on opening day for the Boston Red Sox. One position for the Boston Red Sox that potentially could be up for grabs at some point is Wilyer Abreu's starting position in right field. Now, if you were following Wilyer Abreu at all last year, he obviously had a very, very strong rookie season. He hit 15 home runs, had 33 doubles, he was 6th in Rookie of the Year, and he won a Gold Glove in right field. He put up some very impressive numbers that you don't see rookies do all of the time, and you would think heading into the 2025 season that the role is very secured for his, but not so fast. Again, we just mentioned Christian Campbell as the starting second baseman, but Christian Campbell can also play in the outfield, and on top of that, the number 1 prospect according to Baseball America is Roman Anthony, and he is an outfielder, and he is ready to go at AAA. So in my opinion, Wilyer Abreu really does need to perform early on in the 2025 season, because if he struggles in the first month of the year, and Roman Anthony is just tearing it up at AAA, it's not going to be without the realm of possibility that the Red Sox could just option Wilyer Abreu and see what they have with Roman Anthony. For this mock lineup, it looks like Connor Wong is in the number 8 spot, and Connor Wong, as a starting catcher, put up a really nice season in the 2024 year. Last season, Connor Wong hit 280, had 13 home runs, put up a 110 OPS plus, which is a really nice offensive season for a starting catcher. Now, that all said, if you do look at his baseball savant numbers, those don't necessarily point to a very encouraging sign heading into the 2025 season, as it seems like he might be due for some regression, but it's still pretty hard to not talk about how well he did in 2024 in spite of these metrics. Now, the worst part about Connor Wong is, defensively speaking, he is one of the worst catchers in baseball. His framing is very bad, and this last offseason, apparently he spent a lot of time working on that, but the Red Sox do have some options behind him that potentially could see more playing time if Wong struggles with the bat, because they are better defensively with Carlos Narvaez and Blake Sable, who will be most likely at AAA to start the year. Overall, though, I don't know exactly what we're going to get from Connor Wong this next season, and I might be the most prickly position that I honestly have, but he still potentially could have a really nice year, as he just had one in 2024. And rounding out the lineup in the number 9 spot, we have Cedar Rafaela, who should be the opening day center fielder on day 1. Cedar Rafaela, much like Willie Abreu and David Hamilton, also put up a really nice 2024 rookie campaign. Rafaela hit 15 home runs, he stole 19 bases, he played elite defense in center field, like maybe the best defensive center fielder in baseball, but he did struggle playing the infield when he had to replace Trevor Story at shortstop for much of the year. In 2025, it looks like the Red Sox are going to try to stay away from him in the infield, and if they are able to successfully do that and he can have a full type season in center field, I think that there is a very good possibility that Cedar Rafaela actually has a strong season. Now, when you look at Cedar Rafaela, he definitely does not walk enough, he doesn't make enough contact, but when he does make contact, he hits the ball extremely hard. If you were to tell me that Cedar Rafaela this next season hit 20 or even 25 home runs, that wouldn't shock me that much. He's got that power potential in him. Cedar Rafaela is always going to have kind of a lower on-base percentage just because he doesn't walk enough, but if he can get that batting average up to like 270, 280 and hit you 20 plus home runs, he's probably going to steal you 20 plus bases in a full season. And for a guy that has elite defense in center field, that is more than a serviceable outfielder. But that said, Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell still are breathing down the throats of some of these players, and Cedar Rafaela, much like Willie Abreu, is in that position right now where he potentially could lose his job at the end of the season if he does not perform at the level that he needs to. So that's very likely what the starting lineup could kind of look like heading into the 2025 season. So let's briefly run over what their bench looks like, as well as some of the guys at AAA that are ready to go. We mentioned him a little bit earlier, but Carlos Narvaez, who we acquired in a trade from the Yankees, he is going to be the primary backup catcher for Connor Wong, and he is an elite defensive catcher who actually showed some offensive potential this last year in the Venezuelan Winter League and did make his major league debut last season for the Yankees. I'm pretty interested to see what a full season of him as backup catcher is going to look like, but honestly, I'm pretty encouraged by what I've seen so far. The biggest bat on the bench by far is Rob Refsnyder, and it's kind of weird to say, but Rob Refsnyder might actually be like low-key really good. Last season, Rob Refsnyder batted 283 with a career-high 11 home runs and a 129 OPS plus, which was one of the best marks on the team overall. Those are actually some crazy numbers coming off of the bench, and Rob Refsnyder, while not being a great outfielder, he's not going to hurt you too bad out there either. If you guys remember, Rob Refsnyder was regularly batting second and third for the Red Sox this last season, and it's not because he needed to, it's just because he was doing so well. In fact, in the 3 spot, he batted 309 with an 887 OPS. That is what a regular 3-hole hitter should bat. Now, I'm not sure if Rob Refsnyder is going to be able to duplicate this next season, but honestly speaking, 2 of the last 3 years, Rob Refsnyder has been one of the better bench bats in all of Major League Baseball, and while he did struggle a little bit in 2023, he totally could be a huge asset heading into 2025, as he's already done that multiple times with the Red Sox. The next guy on the bench is probably going to be Romy Gonzalez to start the season, and he kind of gives you a little bit of everything, and when you look at his baseball savant numbers, he's kind of elite in some categories actually. Romy Gonzalez is very fast, he has a lot of defensive versatility, he hits the ball pretty well, and he hits the ball really hard. Honestly, if you gave Romy Gonzalez regular at-bats, it would not shock me too much if he was like a 2020 guy, which is kind of crazy for a guy that the Red Sox picked up on waivers from the Chicago White Sox this last season. I don't know what his 2025 season is going to look like, because again, the Red Sox have so many players that are ready to go in the minor leagues, and he might get optioned if he struggles a little bit, but at the same time, he could perform and just kind of have a stranglehold on that position throughout the entire year. The last and final spot on the bench probably is going to be reserved for David Hamilton. Now, Hamilton was the primary starting second baseman, filled in at shortstop last season, And Hamilton actually had a really nice year in 2024. Honestly, maybe the most surprising player overall. Hamilton's not the type of guy that has some consistent power behind him, but he does have some sneaky pop that could generate 10 to 15 home runs if he is given regular at-bats throughout the year. Where Hamilton excels is defensively at second base specifically, and his speed is just otherworldly elite. Hamilton is one of the fastest people in Major League Baseball. He's already stole 30 plus bases in a partial season at the Major League level. And again, at second base, he was very good defensively. So if you're seeing a guy who can bat like 250 plus, he can get on base a little bit, he has a little bit of pop, has some elite speed and great defense at second, that is a completely serviceable guy at second base as a starting second baseman. Now, while David Hamilton totally could be the starter, I just don't think he is going to be heading into 2025, which might be a tiny bit unfair to him because he did everything the Red Sox could have asked for him in the 2024 season. But if he is a guy coming off your bench with elite speed, can fill in strongly defensively at second base, can play a little bit of shortstop, he is still going to be a guy that's going to get some regular at-bats and be able to fill in late in the games as a defensive replacement or a pinch runner. So those are the 13 position players that I expect to make the Major League roster heading into the 2025 season. But if you guys have been paying attention, there obviously has been one very noticeable outlier, and that is the admission of Masataka Yoshida. Now, Masataka Yoshida is apparently going to be starting the year at AAA with the idea that he is building back up his throwing arm from surgery to play some outfield into the 2025 season. Honestly, though, this is kind of a BS type of excuse just because the Red Sox don't really have a space for him on the Major League roster, especially with the addition of Alex Bregman and Outfield Devers moving to DH. And so I think that they are using this kind of as an excuse to get him sent down to AAA, and then they're just hoping it works itself out within 20 days. If it does not work itself out within 20 days, the Red Sox have to make some sort of decision with Yoshida. They either need to call him back up as his 20-day rehab assignment will have ended, or the Red Sox either have to trade him or release him. And coming from a guy who has been one of the most consistent bats for the Red Sox the past 2 seasons, it is a pretty tough position for Masataka Yoshida to be in and for the Red Sox organization as a whole. I know that they have been trying to trade him, but it's just not working out. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it actually turns out, if there is going to be space on a Major League roster for him, because you have to remember, they're building back his arm so he can play in the outfield, but Alex Cora basically refused to play him in the outfield in the 2024 season after he really struggled in 2023 in the outfield defensively. So if that's the idea, I just don't know where the at-bats are going to come from Masa, and it's kind of sad because I really do like having him on the team. He's just not really fitting in right now for this roster. Outside of Yoshida, as I had mentioned before, you have Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer that are breathing down the necks of some of these starters, and they are ready to take their positions if they get hurt or struggle. Both of these guys are elite type prospects. I made a full breakdown talking about how good Roman Anthony is. And if you guys are interested in watching it, the link is right here. I worked super hard on it, and it's pretty interesting if I do say so myself. But even outside of Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, who are not on the 40-man roster even right now, you still have guys like Vaughn Grissom and Nick Sogard who are just chomping at the bit to come back up and make a Major League roster. So to totally wrap up the offensive side of things, you look at this lineup as a whole, and top to bottom, it is a very, very good lineup. That top 4 in the lineup of Duran, Outfield Devers, Alex Bregman, and Tristan Casas is arguably one of the top 4 in Major League Baseball. And you look at the 5 through 9, and there are still solid pieces all the way through the lineup. On top of that, if any of these guys are struggling for any significant period of time, you have guys ready to go to replace them that are going to not just be plug-and-play guys, but quality Major League players like Rob Refsnyder, David Hamilton, and top prospects that are ready to go in Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. Between the quality and the quantity that the Red Sox have, this very, very well could be a top 5 lineup in Major League Baseball, especially when you compare this lineup to the 2024 lineup. You really see just how favorably it looks and how well it could play out heading into the next season. On your screen right now, you're seeing the 9 players that most often played that position for the Boston Red Sox, and you can see by comparing the 2024 to 2025 rosters that every single one of these positions is either having the same player as last year or being improved upon by a player this year. The most notable positions from this are going to be Dom Smith being replaced by a full season of a healthy Tristan Casas, hopefully, and then the second base position with a negative .6 WAR was Emmanuel Valdez, and he is either going to be replaced by David Hamilton, Marcelo Meyer, or Christian Campbell, some combination of the 3. which will surely produce more than .6 WAR, I would imagine so. On top of that, with Tyler O'Neill's departure, that offense was effectively replaced by Alex Bregman, and with Masataka Yoshida currently starting the year at AAA to work on his throwing arm, that leaves Trevor Story to slide back into the lineup, which moves Cedon Rafaela to center field, and so that bat should either be a wash or pretty close to one. So overall, when comparing the 2025 lineup to the 2024 lineup, you are definitely seeing a lot of major improvements across the board. If I was to grade this lineup as a whole heading into the 2025 season, I think it's pretty easily like a B+ to A- style lineup. And what I mean by that is they have a strong potential to be a top 5 lineup in Major League Baseball. Now, there is a possibility for some regression from some of these guys. Maybe players don't perform, there's always injuries, but I do find it very hard to believe that the Red Sox won't at least match the 2024 lineup. And at the end of the day, I think they have a super strong chance of surpassing it. Anyway, guys, that's the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is just part 1 of a several-part series that I'm going to be doing talking about the Red Sox roster heading into opening day. It's going to be a very similar style video as I talk about the pitching. If you guys enjoyed this type of stuff, please consider liking and subscribing. I think I've kind of got my style down for what you guys like to see, what you guys want to see, so hopefully this is something that you guys enjoyed. Once again, keep an eye out for that part 2 video that should be coming out any day now. Thank you again for sticking out with me, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.